Welcome to Spiritually Raw. We expose and explore controversial truths, myths, and theories surrounding the spirit world. Guests include QAnon experts, investigators, debunkers, and skeptics of the supernatural, unexplained, and flat-out unimaginable. Content discussed on this show is not necessarily the opinion of the cast of Spiritually Raw, and topics quite often are for mature audiences only. This show is not intended to replace any medical, financial, or legal advice and is for entertainment purposes only. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Hello, everybody. How are you? And welcome to Spiritually Raw. Thank you so much for your energy exchange with us today. We hope you woke to the most miracle morning and are also having the most fortunate day today. And speaking of miracle morning, we have our good friend JCK here. Now y'all can stop emailing us because we brought her on.
One of our most requested guests has finally made it.
So she's here. So we're super excited, as you are, to just get to connect with JC, learn about what she's got going on and more about her. And so I'm sure you are too. So we'll get there in just a second. I do want to remind you, if you're new to the channel or you haven't already, if you would kindly hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, so when we do have amazing guests like JC on here, that you are notified right away. Yes. So thank you very much.
Yes. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the Spiritually Raw Telegram channel and also the Spiritually Raw Telegram group chat. And it's the best way to communicate. It's really great. Everybody can chit chat back and forth on the chat, ask questions, talk to us directly. And it's the quickest way to get notification of great guests like JC, and also when we do the lives.
Yeah, right on. So it's cool. Hey, everybody. So please formally join me in welcoming JCK to the show.
Thank
How are you,
you.
JC?
Oh, thank you, April and Jay. I'm so glad to be here finally. Well, look, we've been trying to tee this up for months. So it's months and months and months, and I haven't been avoiding you. It was the time difference. It was so it's huge.
Well, I want to thank you because I want to let our audience know, for you right now it's literally like 5-ish in the morning, right? AM time.
Nearly 6 a.m. Yeah.
Wow.
Been for a while.
Yeah, I appreciate
that's dedication.
I do appreciate you coming on. So JC, if it's okay with you, wanted to get an opportunity to, for those who haven't heard from you, to learn about you a bit. If we can get a vibe about your backstory, what do you a little bit about you, like what brought you to the point you're at right now, and what exactly is your thing in this whole world of connecting and reaching out? What is your sweet spot that you focus on?
Well, okay, so I guess I should tell you about how it started. I'll try and do a brief sort of. I tend to ramble on, so
that's okay.
I'll just do a little brief story of how everything started for me. So I have a background. I'm an artist, but I'm also a psychic. So I've been. My background's in art, theatre, those sorts of industries. And at the time that my YouTube channel started in September last year, it was only a little while ago, I had no intention of starting anything at all. But I was a stay-at-home mum, only doing readings here and there just from word of mouth. I wasn't really advertising anything. However, I'd been doing it for decades, so it wasn't like a new thing to me. But with the pandemic, as it developed, I was getting very frustrated with the fact that the true story wasn't really being told, and I was losing a lot of friends on social media because of my stance. And I just got to the point where I just said, I just want to be around like-minded people. I want to be able to create a Facebook group with like-minded people. So it started with this little Facebook group that I thought was only going to have about my friend, a few of my friends and a few of my other admins' friends, maybe 300 people. And it came to me, the name came to me with a meditation that I did where I had a visitation in the meditation. It was this very strange thing. And the person who came to me was it really shocked me. And he said, you need to do the Facebook group you're intending to do. It's going to go viral. And I was like, what? And he said, and these meditations you've been doing where you've been astral traveling and remote viewing locations, you need to document them and put them on your Facebook group, because you're going to go viral and you're going to help a lot of people. And I was like, yeah, I'm making this up. I'm thinking to myself, I'm making this up. So I do it anyway. So this was 30th of August. I started this Facebook group, and the name was given to me, Quantum Truths, The Great Awakening and Beyond was the title. Okay. So I started it with the intention of this tiny little thing, and all of a sudden it just blew up. It blew up with because a few days later, in early September, I decided to document these little journeys that I had been on, where I was investigating underground tunnels, and I was trying to see what was. I mean, these I call them remote views, but they're not really. It's like astral journeying. And I was sort of taken to different locations around the world and investigating things that other people hadn't thought of looking at. It was not intentional. Everything was pure instinct. There was everything, every step of the way in this process and this story. I didn't overthink anything. It was all instinct. It was all intuition. And it was like a pull. I can only call it from this core of my being. I got to the point where I just said, enough is enough. I don't want to lie about what's going on in the world. I don't want to have to live a false sort of existence where I'm denying what I know is true. And I'm just going to follow my gut instinct. And I did that against, everyone else around me who just didn't agree with anything I was saying. I went ahead and did this. So I recorded these little dinky little videos on my phone. I was really nervous at first because I was putting out some very explosive sort of information, and I thought, well, maybe just a few of my friends will see this, so it's not too bad. I did these videos. I put them up on my Facebook group, and then one of my friends said, it keeps stopping. The quality is very low because you've put it on Facebook. Can you put it on YouTube? And I thought, I have to create a YouTube channel.
Anything but that, please.
I was thinking, do I use my real name? What do I do? Like, I even didn't want to put my face on the camera. So I ended up making this little, I already had a YouTube account, and I just changed the name. And then I put these videos up, and I didn't know what happened. Within a couple of days, the request to join the Facebook group blew up. The first video I did, which was what was going on underground in Australia, because at the time there was a heavy lockdown in one of our states. Yeah. And I wanted to know what was happening, and I wanted to sort of inform people. And I thought, I would see military bases and things. I didn't have a preconceived notion of what I would see. It blew up. Like it just, I think Laura Eisenhower shared it, and then it just, I'm heavily shadow banned. So I've come to the conclusion that there's been about 1 million views, but they're keeping the number stuck at the same number, for months and months. But it blew up, and that's the video that most people know me for. And I had to roll with it. Literally, this mission, I guess you could call it, was thrust upon me. I started to receive all these emails from people. I had no plan. I had to just fly by the seat of my pants. I've been doing like 18-hour days, 7 days a week, just trying to keep up with the emails and all of the requests, and and I don't do things by I don't put content up just because it's popular, or if everyone asks me on, I don't just go on their show. I have to go with my gut instinct, and I just trust that. Because my biggest philosophy is, like, I have to tell the truth. Like, there's no other way around it. I can't lie. I can't.
You can't fake it.
I can't fake it. Yeah. I have to, and I'm not here to prove myself to anyone. I just have to be myself.
Right. You're literally on a mission, come hell or high water, to get the truth out, no matter what it takes.
Can I get JC from, if you can help give us a sense of, when you're speaking about the truth here, what your version of what you've interpreted as a truth, as it comparatively is towards what other people are saying right now. If you could share that with us.
So the way I operate, I have to, so I understand that a lot of people believe that the truth has to be dealt with facts and 3D, very 3D sort of level of understanding of what creates our reality, in order to, that you need physical proof to believe something. My understanding of truth is that it's, for me, it has to come from a multidimensional aspect. It has to come from the fact that we're not just 3D, that it's also what we feel and what we sense and what we interpret from a very core part of ourselves. To me, I call it a heart-centered thing. So I ensure that when I'm doing anything, it's got to be heart-centered. It has to come from within and not from any distraction outside of myself. So I really try to stay away from watching the news, for example, or getting influenced by other people's videos. Since I started the channel, I've actually stopped watching most people's videos
That's
on YouTube.
That's probably like the best thing, because then you're not getting, you're not being persuaded one way or the other. And
people say you need to watch Gene Decode's thing. It matches up with your stuff. You need to do it. And I'm like, I don't want to. I can't. I really want to, but I can't. I might hear a tiny bit from someone's interview or something like that, but I try to just stay in my own energy. And this is how I operate. Even when I'm doing a reading for someone, I don't want to know too much about them at all. I need to follow this gut instinct, and that gut instinct has never led me astray. So that's where the truth comes from for me. It's like, if I'm a clear vessel and I feel that what I'm getting is I'm centering myself and I'm connecting with all that is. I'm connecting with God's energy, which comes through all of us, and I'm quietening my mind, from other distractions. Then that essentially is the truth. Now, there may be I might misinterpret some symbolism. I might misinterpret some of or I might not know how to decode some of the things that I'm getting accurately, like spot on. But I try my very best to give as much truth as possible. And I think that's why, especially that first video blew up, because, I wasn't like this polished newsreader reading a script. I literally had the phone in my face. You could see my eyes. You could see that everything I was saying was very earnest. And that what I saw, you could see, from the way I was
authentic.
talking. Yeah, It was something that I really experienced. And the other thing is people themselves observing and listening, it's resonated with them. So it's not a case of just wishful thinking. They've actually tapped into themselves and they said, this resonates with me. So there's something that's triggered in some of the things I've said that's triggered within them, some discernment where they really resonate. And I think that's probably why I have a high, the audience has there's a lot of feedback, and they really resonate with me, and they feel that they know me, and those sorts of things. So I also think that, when you are discerning truth, what's the intention behind the messenger? Are they trying to?
That's so true.
Yeah, are they just trying to gain attention? Are they trying to what is it that's going on there? And I think most people, if they're really tapped in, as most of our audience are, they can smell bullshit a mile away, so they can sort of see what the genuine intention of the person is. And my thing, my whole thing is, I know what kind of impact these messages are having for people. I can see the future as a very, very bright future, and I wanted to share that. And what I ended up doing, I realized, was that I was kind of a way shower for people to hold on to, hold the line, and keep the
faith, hope, and
and just to keep the faith. And even through all this muck, and and I won't lie, and I've always been like that. I won't lie about if there's something really bad coming. I will say, this is what's going to happen. But it's not just about predictions either. So yeah.
Can I ask you a question? You said, going back to the beginning, when you said a person had suggested the Facebook. What did you mean? It was it a person? Was it a guide?
I've revealed it before, and I was really hesitant to say who it was because I thought it sounded very loaded with, the video I had recently another video that I had recently that went viral. This person featured in it, and it got taken down by YouTube. So the only conclusion I can come to is, and I've really tried to discern this because when this first happened, I thought, am I being fooled by another entity pretending to be this person, et cetera, et cetera? Or is it like a communication from their higher consciousness to my higher consciousness?
Yeah.
I couldn't work out what it was, but I'm just okay. I'll say it. It was actually JFK Jr. and it was completely left of field. So I did not.
Okay, so what would that be? The spirit of JFK, or
he told? Well, that's the thing. I checked it, and I was like, "What? Is this? Aren't you dead?" And he's like, "No, it's so." The conclusion I've come to is that there's some kind of technology that they're able to use that is they use their higher consciousness and connect it through, I'm going to say AI, but it's not in a nefarious way.
Yeah.
Because I truly believe, and I'm not sure what sort of things your guests have said, but I truly believe that the good guys, or the white hats, whatever you want to call them, I think that they have control of the technology and AI that the bad guys used to have, and I think that that's what's helping them understand what's coming next in the future, if that makes sense. So I think that there's an ability there to sort of tap in and communicate with different people.
Do you think that
makes sense?
Do you think that from what you're seeing right now, is there a possibility that white hat, quote unquote white hat movement, has that been infiltrated at all with different type of technology that could be feeding us information that maybe
I understand what you're saying. I'm always careful with that. I'm always careful with not being swayed by anything nefarious, or if there's some other influence. This is where that heart-centered sort of focus, you could, if I'm going, I'm going to channel some beings from outside of myself, or guardian angels come to me and give me an answer, that's when you can get this infiltrated sort of information. So I really try to make sure that it's just coming from my own inner voice, my own higher self. There's nothing, I'm not reaching out to get any answers. So therefore, in discerning what you've just asked, I truly have come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter about the tiny little details of all this multi-layered thing that's going on at the moment with white hats and infiltration, etc. I believe that the way that they are infiltrating is through technology. I
agree with that,
because I've seen recently. I kind of felt very strongly that, for example, the Dracos, which is, these sorts of things I never really took much interest in. But I feel that they were working with a very large country in Asia, and with the communist side. And they were using the technology. There's some kind of psychic link that they've got to people through technology. Okay, so this is where the infiltration's coming through. So yes, of course, the bad guys and the good guys, they would have spies and double agents and triple agents and other means of technology that we are not aware of, and it's influencing what's being put out there.
Do you get a sense, JC, about like what is actually so when we're infiltrated, or to be able to give us whatever message we may get, right, wrong, or indifferent, is, for example, like if the vaccine conversation that's going on right now, is there something along the lines that there's something in that vaccine that would make it easier for us to be infiltrated, give us more information, tracked, if you would?
I've been wanting to investigate that for a while, and I haven't had a chance to really do another remote view or sort of dive deep into what's actually happening right now, because a couple of months ago I did do a remote view, and what was happening every time I sort of check in on the vaccine, it was being blocked. So they were actually, 5 steps ahead of the deep state, who was trying to get this very negative vaccine, or it's not a vaccine. That's the conclusion I've come to. They wanted to get their poison out there, and
that's a better word. That's actually, and I'm going to start using that word. That's a much better word to use. Poison.
It's poison, yeah.
Poison.
And so it just kept getting blocked, and then there was very, very many layers to this. But as far as, is there something in the actual current one that's causing a lot of issues for people, they're trying to roll out, and I do believe that there's still some places where it's being blocked, where it's not coming out, and it's going to be stopped at the last minute, sort of thing. So it's not going to be rolled out on a large scale. So I don't know. I haven't investigated that, so I'm not going to.
No, you're good. Yeah. You're good, JC. So I appreciate what you said. So, you're looking to be able to give people that, hey, hold the line here. You know what I mean? That there's good times ahead of us, and just, stay strong on that. So from what you're seeing, and I know you mentioned earlier that you don't watch a lot of channels.
I'm going to reset the camera. 1 second. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry.
Beautiful streaming. Right?
There we go.
And there we go. Now we got an instant tan.
Yeah, thank you.
So, do you have like when you're watching these things, is that when people are looking at these videos and things like that, and what we've been seeing, and there's a general theme about there, like, okay, we've got this person that's the savior of our world, this person is a devil, they're clones and things like that, and then there's rates and dates going on there. Are there things that you're getting from where you're at, from your guides or whatever you connect with, that you think that and I know I'm asking you to name names, but more along the lines of is there anything that we're getting wrong or people are getting wrong on a consistent basis that may be throwing us all off? And I want to ask you that for this reason, because, we hear and get a lot of feedback, and I'm sure you probably do too, is that, and I think this is human nature, people get caught up on the rate and the date. When and how much, right?
That's all I get asked. That's all I get asked. So I've come to the conclusion that the dates are, so we are collecting our future as a collective consciousness. Okay, so we already know that. That the reason why we have been fooled for so many centuries is because, let's call them the deep state. The deep state have recognized that, we're very powerful creators, and that what we focus on, especially as a collective, creates the future. Okay, and it creates what's going on around us. It creates this. It enables this matrix to form as we're going along. Okay, so if they can control that through mainstream media and through what we see, what we hear, in such a way, they can steer the narrative. Okay, they can't create. This is the way, the conclusion I've come to. If these are archonic entities that are a part of this deep state, okay, they do not have the ability to create. Okay, they are not creative beings. We are, and they know that. So they have to steer our focus. So the way my sort of philosophy is, that means you need to stay away from the mainstream media. You need to stay away from this fear porn, even within the truther community, because do you want that to create your future? If you don't, then we're going to have to really start focusing on how can we steer the narrative in the direction we want. Now, these dates, the dates that keep coming up, and it's coming up. I mean, like I said, I don't watch other people. I've been talking about some of these dates, very specific dates, from before I had a YouTube channel. They kept coming up in dreams and things like that. And they seem to be coinciding with a lot of what other people are saying. So I see them as signposts along the way. Okay. And what they are is, if you can imagine, and we're not traveling just on a straight line. There's a shaman that we spoke to recently, Huna Flash, and in a private conversation, and he said it's they're light lines. Okay. So the way, so it's not just an earth that we live on. We're living on a line of existence where we're creating it as we're going along, but it's a light line. And the way I see it in my head it's like a path that we're going on, or a timeline that we're going on, and there's signposts along the way. And what they are is just focal points for everybody to focus on to manifest a particular thing. Don't forget that the people who are in control of this reality, who are and it's tipping in the balance of the good guys. Okay, they have technology like the looking glass technology. Now that's come up in some of my visions where I'm there with these VIPs, and they're telling me to look into this technology, and I'm able to see what's coming up next, and I'm predicting it for them. Okay, now people have now come and said, all these emails saying you're in the secret space program, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. I didn't, so I have no idea. And they're saying that's why JFK Jr. came to me. That's why they're saying that's why these people are coming to me, and all the things I'm seeing is because of that.
So you're literally tapping into, from your perspective, you're literally tapping into the secret space program.
I don't know what it's called.
We'll call it that because that makes sense.
Okay. Makes for a good show title.
Yeah. Please don't put that in the title. I don't like I don't like these labels, and it's not, I'm not dismissing anyone else's experiences, because I think that those who do understand the secret space program, and they've all sort of seen the same thing. I don't want to dismiss any of that. It's just the label itself, I think, is loaded. And I think
yes.
I think essentially what we're talking about is that there are many of us here on this earth who are doing this work on an astral level. Our consciousness is being used to do multidimensional things, and that are of importance for this earth, of this planet. I don't know what that's called, and I don't know who's using that consciousness. Maybe it was an agreement that we came into to do this as a collective. I don't know. But I from what I understand, from what I think Kerry Cassidy did many years ago, interviewed someone who was talking about looking glass technology. This was used, by both the deep state and other people. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is that I'm tapping into. I just give what I get.
But you're able to get a sense, though, if it feels right or it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Because usually I'll only put out what I feel is right. I'll also sometimes tap into things that might be a military operation, so I don't give that. I sort of know what not to say and what to say, because a lot of people say, "Oh, that's dangerous. You picked up on this. You're revealing you're revealing this information to the bad guys. They all know now what's going to happen next." And I'm like, "Well, no, I know what to keep quiet and what not to."
How are you doing that? How are you? Well, first of all, can you take us through your experience of how you started remote viewing?
Well, I see everyone's using the word remote viewing, and I kind of used it loosely.
You kind of used something. Yeah. What else did you call it?
Astral journeying or astral travel.
Astral journey.
I'm the way I do things is not, it's very instinctive, and it's not, I don't have this written down method. People keep saying, can you teach us how to do what you do? Well, I can give you, for instance, some music that I listen to while I'm starting, but my ability my psychic ability that's been honed over, decades might give me that edge that maybe you haven't reached yet. So you're not going to have the same sort of thing. But there is definitely courses that people can do to actually do remote viewing, which I believe is it's using a different part of the brain. And the way, so, and it's a very technical sort of way of doing things, and they're purposefully not interpreting things from their own sort of conclusions, if that makes sense. They have a different way of interpreting things. So I say remote viewing very, very loosely, because it feels as though I am floating along and I'm viewing it remotely. Okay.
Wow.
So, and most of the time I'm not seen by the different people involved. So I did one on the inauguration, and I was able to see what was happening before. So this is before the 20th. I was able to see what was happening, and then we end up getting a lot of proof that what I saw was correct, you know, even down to what the people were wearing, etc. We later get footage that they're wearing that thing that I described, etc. And even the place where I was describing, people showing me photographs that this is what I was talking about. This must have been the room that I was talking about, etc. So
can I ask you a question real quick? So when you're doing the traveling, how far into the future can you go?
This is very tricky because I can ask for a target and then I just go with it. So like I can ask for a target, like with the inauguration one, I said, please, you know, I need to go now, like what's happening right now, like rather than is this happening in a month? And I guess I have to go with what I'm shown, and then I'll get a feeling of when the time period is.
What the time period is. Can you?
So I don't know how far I can go into the future. However, so far I'm getting up to about 3 years from now. That's
pretty far.
Yeah,
pretty good.
That's very far.
So when you go to these different places and you go as far as how far you go out, do you actually have to hit the astral plane first and then ask where you're going, or do you go in beforehand?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay, got it.
I don't know because it's instinctive. Sometimes I close my eyes and it's there.
You're just there. Got it.
And that's the thing that's just, you know, because people will sit there and break this down into this dogma of, you know, it needs to be done in this particular way. And I just go with my instinct. And the thing is a lot of people who do this, who see these visions, they will tell you also that sometimes you can open your eyes and it's still playing. Like you can see this thing still playing and you can write notes and it's still playing in your head. Everything's connected. This is how we have to see it. Everything is connected. So for example, so recently I wanted to remote view Antarctica because everyone kept asking for that. And the thing is, I don't usually do what people just ask me. I have to go with what I'm feeling.
You got a lot of requests for Antarctica.
Yeah. Well, what came through was very like, what? That's not what I expected. So Antarctica and then the inauguration and then this, I wanted to explore the new Earth or what's going to happen in the future. So the Antarctica one led me to the one that got banned, the video that got banned. That one blew up, the Antarctica one blew up, and everybody was saying, this explains everything. Like this video explains everything.
Can you give us, our listeners who didn't catch that, a overview?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So the reason why I brought up the Antarctica video was to explain my method. So at the time of doing this, I just had this feeling that I had to not do this alone, if this makes sense. I had to use a male counterpart to form a Merkaba. Okay, so if I'm a
Merkaba, you say?
Yeah. So energetically, okay, so a Merkaba is, if you can imagine a 3D version of, so an inverted pyramid and a upright pyramid on top of each other. So it kind of looks like the Star of David, but 3D.
Got it.
And it's a very powerful, it's the divine feminine and divine masculine combined. And it's a very powerful symbol. I'm sure there's much more to the Merkaba, but it's also, I believe it's allows you to travel, to astral travel as well, or to travel into different dimensions. And for some reason, it came to me that I couldn't just do this alone. I needed to go into a portal. I just had this thing in my head that I was going to have to, on the astral, go through a portal into another dimension to explore what Antarctica was. And I had this feeling that I needed a male. So it's like a twin flame connection. Okay, so it's like male and female. And so I just visualized my, you know, twin flame with me. And there he was. It might have been his higher self. It might have been, you know, what his astral body. I don't know. But he was there and he said, he gave me instructions. He said, I'm your protector. You're the seer. And together we're going to be able to do this. So it was just, I described the whole process in the video. And I end up at this lakefront, and I know there's a portal in this lake, and we're going to go in there. You know, this is just how it is. Now, later in explaining this to this shaman who does a lot of journeying, I mean, this shaman does teleporting and all this sort of stuff. and he said, and he works with a lot of portals, so he's been doing things around the world. I think opening portals, I'm not sure, but Huna, I described this Antarctica journey to him, and he said, yes, yes, and he kept saying, you did the right thing, you did the right thing. That's correct about the Merkaba. He said, because if you didn't do this, he said, you would have been stuck there.
Oh my
wow.
gosh.
Yeah. So he said, you
Lord.
did the right thing, and it acts as extra protection.
Mm.
And the other thing was, I had this instinctive message, I guess, to hold a particular crystal and to hold my hands in a certain way. And then I find out that the crystal that I had matched up with the male. It was this weird thing, like I didn't know this. I mean, it's just instinctive. So yeah, and then the shaman, when I told the shaman about the Antarctica journey, he confirmed so much, like just everything matches up with the very ancient knowledge that they have on, I guess, how this reality is created and the dimension that I explored. So I'll quickly tell you.
Are there different levels of Antarctica?
Well, what I saw was what we are told Antarctica is like a front. Okay, so Antarctica itself is not what you think. You know, when they say, "Oh, these politicians have gone to visit Antarctica,"
Yeah,
it's actually. So the conclusion was that it was the beginning and the end of this matrix. It's the beginning and the end, and it's a meeting point. Now, when I described what I saw to the shaman, he said, you're describing the second dimension. And he said, and we call that the meeting place. And I said, well, that's what I said. It was so what I saw was world leaders on one side and demonic entities on the other. And it was this black expanse and this platform, and they were sort of all having this agreement. They were trying to do negotiations.
That's where they make their agreements at that.
Can I ask you real
point.
quick? Can I? Okay, so are they getting there the same way that you're getting there?
Yeah, I believe it's remotely, but there's a technology.
So
they're using the technology. Okay,
yeah.
So they're crystal. And can they see each other when they're there as the world leaders?
We'd like to share a story. While it may sound fictional, it's very real and happening right now in front of our very eyes. It's called The Great Awakening. Our sisters and brothers that come on Spiritually Raw are doing everything to help expand global consciousness, and in many cases putting everything on the line to share their messages about what's happening around the world for the greater good of humanity, while exposing the truth of the deep state and the dark forces behind it all. We are living in the most unbelievable times, some may even say biblical, scary for many and yet exhilarating for others. Together we are taking part in getting everyone acclimated to the Great Awakening process and the exciting new discoveries that lie ahead. The sad part is many of our amazing guests are being heavily censored, socially shamed, and outright banned on many platforms for exposing the truth and piercing the veil. By becoming a viewer, you bring your powerful energy towards this global movement of other truth seekers. If you're resonating with our show, please let us know by hitting the like button, sharing, subscribing, turn on the notification, and leave some comments. Together, we will turn the universal key to global harmony and create a unified world. And remember, tune in often, tell all your friends, and most importantly, may all your dreams come true. Thanks, and God bless Patriots worldwide.